Welcome to the Story Learning Podcast, regular doses of language learning tips and motivation to help you become fluent in any language. With me, Olly Richards. For language programs, books, free resources, and much more, visit StoryLearning.com.
Hello and thanks so much for tuning in today. This is the I Will Teach You a Language podcast, and if you're trying to learn a foreign language right now, you're in the right place. This is your twice weekly dose of motivation to keep going and reach fluency in whatever language you're learning. So I'd like to start off today by reading a quick review from the podcast. And it's on iTunes, and it's from Gabriel in Brazil. And he says, "Thanks so much, Olly. It's been amazing listening to your tips and extremely motivational. Episode 6 was very important to me because I want to improve my intermediate level English, and it's been very hard to do it. So please continue your amazing work here. You also made me realize I need to find a native speaker to have regular conversations with." Well, Gabriel, thank you so much. It's really great to get these results, these reviews, and it's really motivating for me, to carry on and keep making the podcasts even when I don't really get to hear the other side of the conversation. Now, let's dive into today's question from Nina.
Hi, my name is Nina and I'm from Serbia. My mom loves Italian and she wants to learn it one day. I want to guide my mom in learning that language, though I don't have much experience in learning it. I have read a lot of language learning blogs, I have tried a lot of learning methods and found one which suits me, and I've improved a lot in French. I've constructed how I want to do the coaching. She will use Duolingo, a textbook, and Memrise for importing vocabulary which she wants to stick with the translation in Serbian, and I will give her advice how she should use them. Also, I won't push her to do it. I want to hear your opinion on that and to ask you, should I bother doing it?
Okay, Nina, thank you so much for a great question. Let me address the last point first. Should you bother doing it? And of course, my answer is unequivocally, yes, you absolutely should. I think if you can give the gift of a language to another person, especially your mum, it's a fantastic thing to do. So I think it's very admirable that you're doing this, and don't worry that you don't know Italian yourself. It's absolutely not a problem. For me, I see the role of a language coach as someone who is able to get the person that they're coaching to do enough work to keep making progress and then keep going long enough to not give up. That is basically the main role of a coach. And then, of course, you can do some problem solving along the way. So you've given your ideas about how you intend to do the coaching, and you said that you want to use Duolingo and a textbook and Memrise. And you also said that you won't push her to do too much. I think that's also very important. So, great project, great idea. I'm wondering if it's your mum's first language or not. I mean, her first foreign language. Because I think that really changes things if she's had an experience of learning a language before. But my general impression of what you've said is that you've got the study part, in inverted commas, the study part covered. Okay, you've figured out how, she's going to learn with the textbook and with Duolingo, and then you've got Memrise as well to learn vocabulary. For me, based on what you said, I think the really important part that you're missing is to do things to foster some love and passion for the language inside her. And this is really important because if any of us try to learn a language too intellectually, just using a textbook and just using things like Memrise to learn vocabulary, we are going to learn some stuff, but generally what happens then is that we give up. And giving up is the reason that most people fail. It's not because they can't learn a language, it's because they just don't keep it up and stay motivated for long enough. So I think that, with your mum, especially if it's a first language that she's learning and maybe she hasn't done any language learning for many years, you've really got to think about how can you create some passion inside her for Italian. And, there are lots of things you can do. You can start to take her to galleries to see some Italian painting. You can watch movies. You can look to see if there are any Italian meetups in Serbia. I'm sure there are. I think there's lots of Italians in Serbia from what I know. You could get her, if she likes cooking, you could get her some Italian cookbooks, even in Italian maybe. So all these kind of things can start to make the language into a living, breathing thing for her, which means that if she starts to get a bit bored with the study, which happens to all of us, then she's got something else to engage her and keep her going, more of this kind of right brain activity. Okay, I'm a little bit worried that if you don't make that part of your plan, then motivation is going to be a problem at some point. The other side of this is that I'm slightly concerned that with this Duolingo and the textbook and the memorize, this is all great and it will all help her learn. But everything in that, everything that you learn on the apps and in the textbook as well, is somebody else's agenda. It's the language that someone else has chosen for her to learn. And this is the big problem with language materials in general. Someone has to choose the stuff, right? But really, you need her to also be producing the language and ideally, interacting with some native speakers as well. So what I would look seriously at is trying to find a Italian person near where she lives, a safe person, possibly a friend, or if not, someone who's willing to help out, and arrange for her to start meeting that person regularly, even if it's just once a week for a coffee. They don't have to speak in Italian at the beginning, she may feel quite nervous, and so she doesn't have to speak in Italian right at the start. But what she can do is start to ask questions, learn a few words and phrases, just start to speak the language a little bit, and just have the experience of, being with a real person who speaks that language. All of this stuff really, really helps. Now, what happens is, as soon as she can do that and start to interact with a native speaker who she likes, then certain vocabulary is going to come up. Words and phrases that she wants to use, maybe things that she wants to say about herself. And then she can identify that stuff as being important, and then perhaps use things like memorize to learn that stuff. Okay, the stuff from her conversations. So she's not just learning what's in the textbook or what's in Duolingo, but stuff that she actually might want to say. Okay, so I think you've got a great start, a great plan. I would focus on these two things. Okay, so it's fostering some passion for the language, and then finding her someone to talk to and interact with, even if it's not in Italian at the beginning. The last thing you might think about is setting some kind of mini goal for her. Now, this could be many, many things, but I'm thinking that if she's really passionate about the language, if she really wants to learn, then why not plan a trip to Italy, maybe at the end of the year or early next year, and that will give her something really concrete to aim for. If you know that you're gonna go to Bologna or something, then she can start to practice bits of Italian that she might need for that. And a goal like this can be extremely powerful. So I hope that helps, Nina. I wish you so much luck with this. I think it's a fantastic project. And please, in a few months' time, please, get back in touch. Leave me another message and let me know how it's gone, because I'd love to hear the outcome of the coaching. So good luck, and good luck to your mum as well. Thanks for your question. If you'd like to ask me a question, please head over to iwillteachyoualanguage.com/ask, and there's a cool little widget that you can use on your mobile phone or on your computer to send me a voicemail question. You can also leave me a question in an iTunes review, and you can do that by going to iwillteachyoualanguage.com/review. So if you're not comfortable about leaving a voice note, you can just do that there. I check all the reviews, and if any questions that come up in that, I will always answer. Now, at the end of every episode, I like to leave you with a resource of some kind on the topic of the show. And I want to point you to a great video made by my friend Benny Lewis. The title of the video is, let me just pull this up, Benny Coaches a Monoglot to Learn Esperanto Week 1. Okay, so what Benny's doing here is he's basically taking someone who doesn't speak any other languages, and he's teaching them Esperanto. So, Nina, if you're looking for ideas about how to do this video might give you a few hints or a few bit of motivation and inspiration for how you might approach the task of coaching your mum through Italian. I'm going to put a link to this video along with the summary of everything we've spoken about today in the show notes, and you can find that over at iwillteachyoualanguage.com/episode 35. So Nina, thanks for your question. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode of the podcast. Take care.
Thanks for listening to today's episode, and in case you didn't already know, I teach languages in a rather unusual way through stories. Now, stories are a great way to learn a new language because when you're engrossed in a story, you remember things more easily, and the mechanics of the language just start clicking inside your brain. It's quite something, and if you'd like to find out how you can learn a new language or improve your skills in a language that you already know and do it with the power of stories, then you should check out my free Story Learning Kit, which will teach you exactly how this method works and how you can use it yourself to learn a new language. Visit storylearning.com/podkit, that's PODKIT, to get free access. Inside you'll find explanatory videos, masterclasses, worksheets, short stories to practice with, and much, much more. Once again, that is storylearning.com/podkit, PODKIT, and if you're lucky, you might also find a link in the podcast description or show notes of this episode.